Have you heard about the breaking news and finally a conviction on little JonBenet's case? Thanks to evidence revealed in CBS's 9/18/2016 docuseries entitled The Case of JonBenet Ramsey, there will finally be a conviction. You may wonder, if there is a conviction, how come I didn't hear about it? Well, if you have the patience to watch this video, you will finally get the answer and what we have all been waiting for the last 20 years. You see, justice prevails when you are on the right side of the law. Our law enforcement is standing on your side. Let's start the show. I felt really lucky that I watched A&E's JonBenet, an American Murder Mystery on Investigation Discovery the day before the CBS show. Otherwise, I may have reached a totally different conclusion today. Once you watch both shows, you will realize how you are perceived is at the mercy of others, and how you should never take what you see at face value. So do your own investigation. Basically, CBS built a case against the Ramseys by showing how Burke did it. It is not a new theory, and it is a very convincing one. Let me first fill you in on the JonBenet case. Patsy found a ransom note the morning of December 26, 1996. She called the police right away. The police came out but found no evidence of forced entry. The kidnapper wrote a 3-page long ransom note with pen and paper found at the Ramsey residence. The ransom note demanded $118,000, which is the annual bonus John Ramsey received in 1996. Because there was no sign of an intruder, the police had to consider the 3 remaining members of the Ramsey family as the 3 main suspects. Burke is too young to write the ransom note. Patsy may not have the strength to crack JonBenet's skull. John could commit the crime, but why would he? In a case like this, you must be creative to come up with a motive. Maybe John tried to silence JonBenet to cover up any evidence from a sexual assault? Maybe Patsy is angry about the attention JonBenet gets? Or maybe Burke did it. It is hard not to envy JonBenet. Everyone loved her. So CBS showed how Burke killed JonBenet. It was an accident when Burke hit JonBenet with a flashlight and accidentally killed her. Patsy can't bear to lose another child, so she wrote the ransom note as a cover-up. If this is true, then the Ramseys have played the most incredible show for the last 20 years. Even 9-year-old Burke offered an Oscar-winning performance time after time. To prove a 9-year-old can kill a 6-year-old with one blow, a 10-year-old cracked a synthetic skull under a pigskin with a flashlight. But imagine how the killer child would be able to strike a blow with deadly force versus how the target kid stood deadly still, and they both have to be quiet so they don't wake the sleeping parents. Although subsequent DNA evidence in 2008 cleared all the Ramseys, CBS's team of experts poked holes in that theory. They suggested that the DNA left in JonBenet's panty was from a factory worker. And the reason why both JonBenet's panties and pajamas contain that DNA is because DNA from the panties was transferred to the pajamas when JonBenet put them on. This may sound crazy now, but when you hear it from the expert, it was very convincing. Believe it or not, I've learned a lot from the CBS JonBenet special. I realized how easy it is to play make-believe. Now I want to show you the reason I did not buy into CBS's theory. The 911 call. CBS started by calling Patsy's 911 call suspicious. Let's play it and so you decide what's wrong with it.
There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? It says FBTC. Victory. Please. Okay, what's your name? Are you Sherry Wang, the mother? Oh my God. Please. Okay, I'm sending it on to Silver, okay? Do you know how long she's been gone? No, I don't. Please, we just got out. Did you were here? Oh my God, please. Okay, I am, honey. Please. Take a deep breath. Please, okay? Hurry.
CBS's Jim Fitzgerald said, "Where is the ownership? Are you kidding? Is giving the address and asking the police to hurry up not good enough? She already said there is a kidnapping." And Jim Clement, the retired FBI profiler, said, "Why she only said her daughter? Why didn't she identify her daughter's name? Is he crazy? Does the name have anything to do with anything? Come on, experts." Then CBS presented high-tech analysis of the last 6 seconds of the call. Although we know this analysis can be twisted easily, the first part they decoded is John's voice saying, "I am not talking to you," and either "Help me, Jesus," or "What did you do?" Just by having these two possible interpretations, you can see how reliable the high-tech sound analysis is. And did you hear Patsy scream, "Oh my God," after she said, "I'm the mother"? To me, that scream proved Patsy was telling the truth. When asked by police what was in the ransom note, she said, "I don't remember. I found the note, told John, and he said to call the police." Remember when she was asked, "Did the ransom note say who took her?" She moved to the bottom of the letter and read, "SBTC, Victory." Then her voice soon changed and she screamed, "Oh my God." Please note the ransom note started by saying things like, "Your daughter is unharmed." But at the end, above the kidnapper's name was a sentence, "I don't think that killing will be difficult." That could be the reason why she cried, "Oh my God." CBS said the last 6 seconds of the 911 call proved Burke lied. Burke stated in a police interview that he was sleeping and went back to sleep the morning of December 26, 1996. But even if the words were true, Burke may have been up, had a few words with his parents, and went back to sleep. It was 5 a.m. in the morning. And of course, a 9-year-old would want to go back to sleep that early in the morning, right? CBS's handwriting expert pointed out some similarities between Patsy's and the kidnapper's writing of the letters C, I, G, O, and the exclamation mark. They concluded that Patsy probably wrote the note. Is that logical? It makes sense only if you limit your choice of suspects to the Ramsey family. Since the note paper was from Patsy's notebook, and the pen was also likely taken from their home. After excluding John based on handwriting examples, and Burke because he was too young to write the note, anyone could well pick Patsy from the 3-person lineup. I know the theories sounded convincing, but how can anyone come to that conclusion based on only 4 out of the 26 letters? And they don't even look that similar to me. Actually, I thought that I write like that too. Now let's talk about the demand of $118,000. How did the kidnapper know that is what they had in their bank account? Could it be that they saw a bank statement lying around? Maybe it is not the first time they snuck into the home. How about the part of the note using a feminine tune? Like the 2 gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you. The kidnapper may mention the 2 gentlemen watching over JonBenet so the parents can imagine how terrible things can be if they don't comply. How about the window? If you watched A&E's documentary on 9/17/2016, The Killing of JonBenet, you probably found it hard to believe that the police could have ruled out the intruder theory after seeing the open window. a broken window just a few feet away from the body. The police said the window was too small, but Detective Lou Smith showed how one could easily get in. But this was disputed by CBS's version, as they pointed to a spiderweb in the corner to dispute the intruder theory. Let's think. If the intruder did not get in through the window, it does not mean there was no intruder. Second, CBS showed how hard it is to get through the window without touching the corner, but A&E showed how easily it is to get through the window. If Mark Carr was really the intruder, he is about half the detective's size. So entering without touching the web should not be a problem for someone like Carr. Let's also think about what was not discussed. John broke that window because he forgot his key, and he did that more than once. Obviously, it either did not trigger the alarm, or they did not have a monitored alarm system. If John Ramsey broke the window more than once, some repairman must know that is then the entry that was used, right? Patsy's clothes. How many of you ladies wore the same clothes 2 days straight? Please note I'm asking the ladies, especially the well-mannered, beautiful Southern belles who would rather die than be caught looking unpresentable. So, Patsy must have been up the whole night in the same clothes, covering up JonBenet's murder. If not, how can she be wearing the same clothes when the police arrived? Let me ask you, what would you wear if you found your daughter missing and for 5 a.m. when the police are arriving? Probably whatever. So if the clothes from last night was in the laundry basket, you may take it, right? Why did John and Patsy get different lawyers? It was big news when John and Patsy hired separate attorneys after the murder. It is an immediate red flag because if they are not guilty, they don't need a lawyer. But they hired two. And in CBS's video, they picked on John's calling of the meeting with police accomplished as proof of his plots to hide the truth. No one can deny that the Boulder police had singled out the Ramseys as the chief suspects. Trying to protect yourself is smart, not smack. The Ramseys were criticized for insisting on Burke being interviewed by a child psychologist instead of a policeman after the murder. I think that is a normal response from parents who just lost a child. And then the CBS team picked on Burke for talking like Patsy. They said, look, this showed they rehearsed the answers. Kids talk like their parents because they live together. Okay, and the experts said, look, John had to think to answer some questions, while he looked very convincing when he said, I did not kill JonBenet. Well, most people have to think to answer a question, but John must have said 100 times, I did not kill JonBenet. The stun gun mark. Most experts agree that a stun gun probably caused these marks on JonBenet, but CBS showed the toy rail track fit the mark even better. I almost gave up writing the half-finished scripts when I saw the stun demo and expert testimony. However, a toy rail track could be used to make the mark on JonBenet, but it can't tell you who made the mark. This possible finding does not help solve the case at all. Plus, the demo was totally misleading. The experts said a 6-year-old kid would scream and run when shocked by a stun gun. Did they forget JonBenet's mouth was tape sealed and her hands constrained? Run and scream? Who are they trying to fool? The flashlight weapon. After watching the convincing demonstration, I agree that the flashlight could be the weapon used. But if it were used by Patsy, Burke, or John, why did they leave it in the kitchen counter? And there was no trace of blood, hair, nor tissue on it. So this really makes no sense. Finally, CBS's DNA debunk totally destroyed my confidence in modern DNA technologies. If the DNA on JonBenet's panties and pajamas were left there during the manufacturing process, How can we believe any DNA evidence from this point on? How can we believe a factory worker in China can leave DNA in both JonBenet's panties and pajamas, but a killer can't leave any DNA when crushing JonBenet's skull? Like what Johnny Cochran said, when it does not fit, you must acquit. Another question raised by CBS was Burke's demeanor during his first two police interviews. Basically, Burke did not show much emotion about losing his sister. How much should a 9-year-old grieve over losing a family member? I don't recall my niece crying over my mom's passing. Burke said JonBenet was in heaven now. Why should a 9-year-old grieve over a sister in heaven? For someone sheltered from the gruesome details, Burke may not think being with God is anything to cry over. Like many unsolved mysteries, JonBenet's case had some clues pointing in one direction and other clues pointing in other directions. A&E's ID Discovery took us through many Intruder's theories, while CBS pointed the finger to the Ramsey family. Although I've read lots of articles and analysis about the case, I was surprised to learn new information. Number one, there is an open, broken window in the basement, and it is big enough for someone to get in. Number two, there is a suitcase next to the window, possibly someone used to get out of the house. Number three, a shard of wood found on JonBenet's body also matched a baseball bat found hidden in the bushes outside. Finally, a shoe print outside the house didn't match any shoes owned by the Ramsey family members. Possible intruders including Bill McReynolds, a professor and family friend who looked like Santa. What put him high on the list is the alarming coincidental facts that he gave JonBenet a note, "You will receive a special gift after Christmas." He seemed to be hostile to Patsy at JonBenet's funeral, and he seemed to be in the media spotlight too much. While Bill's wife, Janet, wrote a play about a young girl is molested, tortured, murdered, and left in a basement. And there's another troubling fact. Bill's daughter and Janet's daughter were abducted and witnessed the sexual molestation of their friend on December 26, 1972. Bill can be the perfect crazy Silence of the Lambs professor, or the Zodiac killer who follows the novel, or he can be the silent partner in the 1978 film Who Dressed as Santa to Kill. But in real life, he may just be the frail old man who mourns the loss of little JonBenet. Then we learned about Gary Oliva, a convicted sex offender who attempted to strangle his own mother with a phone cord and was diagnosed as a schizophrenic. He is a homeless man staying in a church a few houses from the Ramseys. He admitted that he was obsessed with JonBenet, and he also owned a stun gun. Then on Valentine's Day 1997, 26-year-old Michael Helgoth was found dead with a gunshot wound to the head. Michael had records of a sexual assault on a child, cruelty to animals, and even told his friend that he and his partner will be getting $50,000 to $60,000 around Christmas 1996. But when his friend John asked him what happened after Christmas, Michael said something went wrong. Soon after that, he was found dead. But the police kind of brushed off that theory. But Detective Lou Smith decided to follow that lead. Just by reviewing photos taken at the suicide scene, he found a stun gun and a high-tech boot laying right next to the body. Please note that JonBenet was thought to be subdued by a stun gun, and there was a high-tech shoe print at the crime scene. And Michael Helgoth's wound was shot from the left, while he is known to be a right-handed man. And there is an unexplained bullet hole in a pillowcase on his bed. Why would anyone want to kill himself through a pillow? Was Michael Helgoth killed by his partner? The real killer of JonBenet? Of course, no one can forget John Mark Carr, who confessed to the killing of JonBenet in 2004. But everyone knows he's crazy. So let's not waste time talking about him. Some people blame Patsy for making JonBenet the little beauty queen, but I personally think that is truly unfair. Patsy was Miss West Virginia in 1977. That experience probably was her best memory in life. What is wrong with letting JonBenet have the same kind of fun? Dressing up like a princess is every girl's dream. There is no doubt JonBenet's smile was genuine in those pageant videos. How about a conviction? I'm sure you are eager to know who got convicted, right? I have no doubt the verdict is now against Burke in the court of public opinion. Thanks to CBS's twisted presentation with partial facts, intentional omissions, and a sugar-coated presentation. If Burke really did it, he is not guilty of anything because Colorado will not prosecute anyone under the age of 10, which means the news should not even mention his name. This is Ken Peters. Thank you for watching.